Ben McKee, Patrick Brown, Go Vols 24/7 here on day number 11 of Tennessee Fall Camp, 18 days away from kickoff in Nashville. And Patrick, today during practice, we got to see some one-on-ones with the receivers and the DBs and got to speak to a lot of DBs following practice, including Willie Martinez, the DB's coach. But during practice, at least what we saw, as you would expect, a very talented receiver room got the best of the DBs during those one-on-ones.
Yeah, I think you had a better view of it than I did, but it looked like Brew McCoy, Dante Thornton, and Mel Keaton all won their first reps. Ethan Davis had a really nice catch, one-handed.
You know who had the catch of the day?
It was Jack Jancic, right?
Jack Jancic. That guy can play. Like, I think he could legitimately play in an SEC game and produce.
Well, I don't know if they're going to throw him out there in an SEC
Correct.
game.
Correct. They don't need to.
And he doesn't have Harrison Bailey throwing the football anymore either.
To your point, though, the receivers had a great day against those DBs that are they're trying to find which guy fits best where.
Yeah, there's some moving pieces in the secondary. I know that was an intriguing position group coming into camp. It's become even more intriguing in some ways for different reasons than we expected, right? Tammy McDonald, Wesley Walker have missed a lot of camp. They were back today in some drills. It seems like they're getting close. I'd be surprised if they throw them out there in a scrimmage tomorrow. But we'll have to see about that. But that's had Warren Burrell working inside at star instead of corner. They're trying to figure some things out. Obviously, Andre Turrentine, I think, is a guy that's has benefited from this because he's gotten a lot of first-team work at safety. Second-year transfer from Ohio State that played at Innsworth. So he feels a lot more confident. Some other guys feel a lot more confident. Warren Burrell's back from injury. Danico Slaughter's got a whole offseason at cornerback. So a lot of moving pieces, and they're trying to find the best group. And Willie Martinez touched on it. They have more depth now. Last year, a lot of times at cornerback, because they had a rash of injuries there, they were just throwing out who they had, and that's probably why they didn't play great. So with more competition, full offseason for some of these guys to develop, Tennessee's obviously hoping there's going to be better results in the back end.
Yeah, and I don't know how much the ceiling has risen, but I know the floor is elevated from where it was a season ago. And I think in large part because those veterans in the room, the Kamal Haddons, the Warren Burrells, the Gabe Judy Lowleys, the BYU transfer, it seems like they're having a real nice camp after a real nice offseason, and you got to throw Brandon Turnage in there as well.
Yeah, I thought one of the things that was most interesting from Willie Martinez is saying that when Brandon Turnage is healthy, he's as good as it gets, and he's a guy that was easy to forget. He's been hurt a lot here. He had an injury, I think, going into last season that slowed him early on. He gets hurt, I think, in the South Carolina game. Pretty, I think, significant foot injury that kept him out through the spring. He admitted that it was tough for him a lot of times working his way back, but he's there. Gabe Judy Lowley, I think, is going to play a lot for this football team. He's a savvy veteran, played at Vanderbilt, knows the SEC, played at BYU. They play some good defense out there sometimes. So I think he's got a chance to help this defense. And then Slaughter being over there at cornerback full-time should help. I think he's got some ability there. And Kamal Haddon's a guy that has maddened a lot of people, but I think when he's got everything going in the right direction, he can be a player that can make plays and be reliable for Tennessee. So that's where they got to get to with some of those guys. I do agree with you. That's a good point on the floor raising, even though if the ceiling might not be the highest at that group.
Yeah, and part of the reason I believe that is because the talent has improved in large part because of the three corners that they have added. Everybody you talk to speaks very highly of Christian Conyers, Jordan Matthews, and Ricky Gibson.
Yeah, those guys have length, athleticism. They move really well. They make plays on the football. It's just tough to throw those guys out there too soon. You don't want to throw those guys out there early, get their confidence down. But we'll have to see what kind of role they have. They've definitely, I think, pushed these veterans. I think they've impress the staff and impress their teammates as well. So we'll just have to kind of see how they progress and if they get a real shot at playing time this season.
Yeah, and Tennessee will be in Neyland Stadium, I believe. I guess we don't know for sure where they'll be scrimmaging tomorrow, but they will be scrimmaging tomorrow, and I will be very curious to hear how the DBs do against the receivers in scrimmage number one. Top four receivers did not go because it was slippery, it was wet, bad conditions. What will that look like tomorrow, I think, will be very interesting, and we will certainly have plenty of coverage of what Josh Heupel has to say afterwards up at Go Vols 24/7 as we have coverage of practice number 11 of fall camp up right now as we speak. For Patrick Brown, I'm Ben McKee.